We do a lot of talking about Tarkov and the way the game currently is, but today I wanted to take some time, go backwards, and go more hypothetical with the game. Now that we're past 1.0 and we're reviewing and critiquing the game as a technically finished product, there are a lot of things that sadly didn't make the cut. I mean, there's still a chance for many different features to be added down the line, depending on how long BSG continues support for this game, but in the meantime, we have everything they wanted in the final release laid out in front of us. So today I wanted to go over all of the what-ifs that surround EFT, the possibilities and where it could have gone, and just the insanely infinite potential the game had. But sadly, the harsh reality is that the game was only a fraction of what it could have been and what many of us wanted over the years. Whether it was barreling towards the full release, the wheel spin over the years of trying to figure out the game's identity, or just missing the mark because they didn't have the technical skill set to do so, this game could have been one that people enjoyed forever. And while there is a version that people can experience that removes many of the problem points the real version has, wouldn't it have been nice if the normal game would have just existed without the need of a modded version as well? This game's potential was infinite, but BSG's ability to deliver on that potential sadly wasn't. At its core, EFT has and always will be an extraction shooter. It's the game that truly defined the genre and the reason games like Arc Raiders exist in the first place. It may not be as difficult or hardcore as EFT, but tons of players are now being onboarded into this genre by a game that is easier to get into, still has complexity and depth for those unfamiliar with the genre, and replay value that still gets people stressed out. EFT is its own beast in comparison, and I'm not trying to downplay or belittle Arc, but let's just be real for a second. Losing in Tarkov hurts infinitely more than Arc or any other extraction game out there. You lose all your stuff in all of these games because that's kind of the hook of the genre, but something about Tarkov and those losses just hurts so much more. Maybe it's the type of gear you bring in, losing progression on a tough as hell quest, or just how quickly it can all happen sometimes. Tarkov has a way of latching itself onto you and never letting go, and once people fall in, their minds and imaginations begin to run wild like we all did at one point or another. Until you put hundreds, if not thousands of hours into the game and become almost jaded with the experience, there's an almost whimsical creativity your brain tends to go through, coming up with all these different mechanics and scenarios where they could be applied and how awesome it would be for a game like Tarkov to include them. Imagine if the game was open world, traveling from location to location in real time with no loading as you fight your way across multiple maps, finding supplies to keep you going. Imagine if there were ways to revive teammates that would enter a down state if they hit 0 health points. Imagine in-world traders that you had to go visit in whatever location they were relative to their backgrounds. Imagine if we had a multi-tool on us while in raid, we could dismantle and put together weapons on the fly with parts we either found in the world or took off other players and AI. So many ways this game could have exceeded expectations and blown people away with what this genre is truly capable of. If there was this level of innovation from something as ambitious as Tarkov, I truly believe this game would have reached a level of fame and prestige that supersedes what it has already accomplished. But being a little more realistic, even if BSG wasn't able to add all the mechanics into the game before launch, imagine if the game just ran better. The amount of bloat and extra menus and clicks was reduced to a point it didn't feel tedious to navigate menus outside of a raid. It's something I think many of us would have been more than happy with because the one thing that really stings in Tarkov is trying to build a kit quickly after you get taken out. Efficiency has been something Tarkov never had, and just seeing the game run and behave better across the board would have gone a long way in building up trust that their future plans, content additions, and future optimizations would have went well. But that is not what happened to Tarkov pretty much ever. The game's development has been nothing but tumultuous for its entire life, and the sad reality is that whether it's because of technical limitations and complications, or the skill growth of BSG and just not having the experience to add these kinds of features when they needed them most, has led to a game that will still be good, but is nowhere near what it could have been had it been handled by a company with more technical prowess and skill, but with BSG behind them making all decisions regarding the game's vision. The sad reality is that this game could have never met the expectations of what the players wanted or even envisioned. The hype that surrounded this game boiled over once Reserve came out, and it was doomed to never be what we truly wanted. Because for years, we all came up with wild possibilities that Tarkov could be something it's not. BSG just sadly never had the experience necessary to make a game like that. If they were as knowledgeable as they are now when they first started making Tarkov, then that's a different conversation entirely. I wish that was the case, because then there is so much more to be said about all these different mechanics not being introduced into the game. I wish there was an open world of some sort so we could go on adventures across multiple maps and either fighting our way through everyone or meeting people who need to go to the same place as I do and tag along for the ride. I wish this game's performance was in a place where most modern hardware could run it while maintaining the game's beauty. I wish the menus and the UI was more streamlined and boiled down to where it only took a couple of minutes and half as many clicks to get a kit built after dying. It's just sadly not on the table anymore. And that, to me, is the biggest sin of Tarkov, the unfortunate inability to meet the expectations we all conjured up for this game. And I don't really blame BSG for that. We are the ones that let our imaginations run wild and get sometimes maybe a little too unrealistic with what was to come. But I would do it the same way over again just because it was fun to dream and to imagine all the what-ifs and the possibilities that simply could have been. I mean, even to this day, I still reflect on this game sometimes when it's quiet in raid and I'm walking around and I just say to myself, imagine how cool this all would have been if there was more done to it, if a little more thought went into it. If BSG had just a little bit more knowledge and more tools under their belt earlier on. I don't blame anyone for dreaming. Sure, BSG could have done more to make the game a better package, but I don't make games. I know it can be an insurmountable challenge though, especially with something as complex as EFT. But what we have in front of us is their vision for a realistic 1.0 release. Regardless of whether we like it or not, I respect the fact that they finally managed to release something. Even if I wish there was more, even if I disagree with many things associated with the game, I still see a future where this can be a forever game, you know, as long as the servers are still going strong. Tarkov has affected so many people, whether they love the game, hate it, didn't like it at first but then got addicted, or loved the game for years and then just walked away. EFT has had a substantial impact on so many of us that no matter what time of the year or day it might be, I see Tarkov as a game that could last a lifetime. Maybe not this exact version, but some form of EFT will be around years after BSG has stopped supporting it post-launch, and people will still be playing and talking about this game. It has cemented itself in this industry and in this genre as the cornerstone to many other extraction games being made and released in the future. And while it certainly is not perfect, other people have the blueprints laid out in front of them to make something better, and improve in the places Tarkov could have never done so for one reason or another. But in the future, when everything is all said and done, I still see myself years down the road still playing this game in some capacity. I want to, in the future, treat it like how I treat Stalker, Anomaly, and all those mod packs. Experiences I come back to every now and again and just relive one of the better gaming experiences I've ever had playing games, despite everything. The player's expectations of Tarkov could sadly never be met. That's just the reality of the circumstances. We all had such high hopes for mechanics and general directions of the game that it really took until the last year before launch to realize that was just simply never going to happen. But taking the game for what it's worth, and reflecting on what we have in front of us, the game is still great. I wish there was more here. I wish it was better, and I wish the game didn't have as much of a tumultuous development than it did. But either way, Tarkov at one point felt like it had unlimited potential. But that dream came crashing down when most people realized that all those cool and fancy ideas we imagined for years were never going to happen. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on the idea of Tarkov's potential, whether or not you think it could have ever been something more or different, and be sure to subscribe for more videos about the unfortunate reality something in development that you're interested in, either not living up to your expectations or simply never coming out at all. Hope to see you in future ones.